Now let's look at our third learning objective to focusing on the actual usage of the statistic in the business world, right? After you know as a business student, the skill you need to develop, and then now we actually look at the use cases of the statistics. So for the statistic is a required course for all business student, econ student, and it's the same for any college you are going to. And so as you are thinking about yourself, you are going to go into different kind of business role, right? Someone will become accountant, someone will become working in the marketing field, someone will become working in the financial industry as a financial advisor, someone will become economist, and someone will run in the government office as a politician, etc. Right? So the question is how this statistic actually being used in the different field of the business. So let's starting from auditing. So if you are a accounting student, or even you become like a senior manager, you want auditing some of the business operation, you're going to use these auditing skills. And so in the auditing field, statistic is being popularly used. So for instance, the firm has learned that some invoices are being paid incorrectly, but it does not know how widespread the problem is. A sample of invoice can be used to estimate the portion of the incorrectly paid invoice. So if you think about here is that we are looking at the population, the sample, it'll just waste companies time to go through every document, right? So if you have a hunch about something's not doing right, you want to audit the work. So the thing is you're going to create a sample. In a later chapter, we're going to learn how can we creating the right sample that are able to represent your population. So this kind of sampling technique is a part of the statistical learning, right? So this is one application of the statistics in auditing field. And feel free to think about other example, or if you know somebody are doing the auditing work, you can feel free to ask them, hey, what is the implication of statistics in your daily work? Now, I know a lot of students are very interested in marketing, selling as a salesperson. And so one thing I want to emphasize that marketing skill is not only needed for the marketing student. So anybody need to know the marketing skill. You need to know how to sell your ideas, okay? So anyway, here we'll focus on the marketing itself, sell the goods to the customer. So here is an example. So the company used the customer relationship management, CRM, to analyze customer data from multiple sources with the statistical and analytics tools such as correlation and data mining. They identify specific needs of the different customer groups, and this help them market their product and the service more efficiently. And so here is a very close example. I don't know how many of you are shopping at Wegman or Giant Eagle. And so they usually, like Wegman, they ask you, hey, put your cell phone numbers. And for the Wegman, they say, how scan your Advantage cards. And so your cell phone number is connect with a certain yourself, right? You as the customer. Similarly as the Advantage card from Giant Eagle. So why are you doing those? Because understanding what you like, what you don't like, will help those grocery store to send you the right coupon and help them to make more money. So I don't know how much you know about economics. So the application of the economics is about, hey, elasticity, right? So when you are having the customer are buying certain things when they are lowering the price. So you want to make sure when you are thinking giving the coupon, you want to give it to those people who are sensitive to the price. So we call the customer are elastic. So for the customer, regardless how the price changes, they're always going to buy it. And so it does not make sense for you to lower the price because they need to buy the item no matter what, right? So how do you know which customer are sensitive to the price and which customer is not sensitive to price to that specific item? That is based on the data you collected and analyzing it. So I know a lot of my friends working in the data science field in the industry. So they're always calculating one of the metrics called elasticities. So JP Morgan Chase, they are calculating elasticity, etc. They're creating that metric in their database. So again, in order to be a successful marketer, again, we're not talking about the traditional one-on-one marketing. We're talking about massive marketing campaign. You need the data to help you on business to make an informed decision and win the competition. Okay, next, how about healthcare? And so the healthcare is growing in our region in Pennsylvania. And so the statistics being used in the healthcare industry as well. So they're evaluating incoming patient using a 42-item physical and mental assessment questionnaires. I don't know how many of you fill in those questionnaires before. I fill in so many different kind of questionnaires. I bring my kids to see the pediatric, I need to fill in the questionnaire, and I go to see my the regular doctor, my physician, do the annual checkup, I need to fill in the questionnaire. So when they collecting those questionnaire, they are not just collecting it through away. So they use the data to analyzing, hey, what's your living habit? And what is your situation? Do you need help? And are you taking care of yourself? And then so those data will help the healthcare providers give you a better care, right? So not only that, but also thinking about insurance companies. I don't know if you have your own insurance or you're still insured under your parents. So if you insure under your parents, you can ask your parents. So every insurance company will ask you filling some kind of annual survey about how much vegetable you eat, how much exercise you did. So based on that, they give you some kind of discount. At the same time, they're prescribing some program to you, help you lose weight, help you increase in your physical activity. And then so down the road might impact your insurance premium as well. So the insurance company collecting those data to help them to decide, hey, are you going to be a healthy individual so that we don't need to end up pay a bunch your medical bills, or you're going to be a non-healthy individual, so we maybe going to increase your the health premiums, all those scenarios, right? So to help those business, the healthcare provider to making all those decisions, they need the data. The data being analyzed use the statistics skills. Okay. The next is about quality improvement. So for instance, initiate a triple inspection program, setting penalty for worker who produce poor quality output. And so when you do this kind of inspections and you are not inspecting every item they did, usually similar as we're talking about, you're creating a sample. And so to look at within this sample, what is the defective rate? So if the defective rate is so high and it's, hey, I need to penalize you. And if the defective rate is low, and say, okay, that's fine, right? So the quality improvement really heavily rely on the statistic. Again, large volume of production of the goods, and then allow them to collecting the sample, and based on the sample, derive the information about the population. And then how about purchasing? And here is example. Food producer purchased a plastic container for packaging its product. Inspection of the most recent shipment of the 500 containers found that 3 of the containers were defective. So the supplier's historical defective rate is 0.005. Has the defective rate really rising, or is they simply a bad batch? Okay, again, here we are looking at the quality control, kind of mix between purchasing and the quality control. And you have the sample inspected, 500 containers, right? 3 were defective, and you had the sample to thinking, hey, so if this is the population about it's pretty high defective rate compared with historical data, and you can thinking, if is my sample really representing the population or not? And then so those questions will be asked as a statistician. It will help them to make a better purchasing decision, right? And more example in the medicine field, and if you want to determine whether a new drug is really better than the placebo, or if the difference is due to chance. So in the medical field, medicine, the drug, pharmaceutical industry, so they have a lot of statistician involved, because they do test the drug, the effectiveness, and they use a lot of little mice to test it out. You should understand that before you launch a drug actually killing people, right? So you want to test it out. So you need to know how to implement the statistical method to understand, hey, this is my sample, my test on the little mice. Is this the drug can pass the test so that we are able to launch on the market? Of course, before you launch to the market, FDA has to approve it. So there are a lot of statistician work for the FDA as well. Okay, so operation management. So the manage inventory by forecasting consumer demand. So when we're talking about forecasting, right? So it's something unknown. Definitely we need a statistic to help out. And next is a product warranty, and determine the average dollar cost of the engine warranty claim on a new hybrid engine. And so think about, so everybody say, hey, you pay $2,000 a week extending your warranty. Is that really worth that money to do it? Because so sometimes people say that is a scam, because maybe in the next 10 years that we're going to broke down. So by doing that, some scammer can make some money. But in the reality is, the company has to understand, hey, if I give you 10-year warranty, and how can I bake in that cost to my product, right? So when you buy in the vehicle, when they give you the warranty, like 5-year or 30 mileage, so they already did a calculation. What's the chance that going to break down within that 5 years? What going to cost? So they bake those costs into the cost of the car. Okay, so as a consumer, you need to wear that. But if you own the business, and you need to know how to absorbing the cost in your products, right? So you don't want it losing the money, right? So therefore, when you pricing your item, you're not only pricing the cost or the profit margin, you also need to build in the cost, that the potential of the breakdown of the item, the probability of the breakdown, and how much costs you to fixing it during that warranty, right? So therefore, the product warranty definitely need a lot of statistician or business analysts know the statistics, help them to figure that out. Okay, so that is related to our learning objective 3, how the statistics being used in the business world. I'm sure if you know your parents or yourself working in a company already, you can ask the people who are making an informed business decision. They are either using the statistic or craving somebody can use statistics to help them to understand the massive data the consumer developed. And I hope you are the one helping them to solving that question, finding the insight the people cannot find without statistics skills. Now let's look at a practice question related to our learning objective 3. And so in learning objective 3, we just covered about the application of statistics in the business world. And we're going to focus on, hey, what are the activity actually belong to the situation we need to use statistics. So considering the following business activities, predicting consumers' demand, assessing drug efficacy in a clinical trial, which of the above are likely application of statistics in business, as we're talking about? And so we're definitely going to use the statistics to predicting the demand on different kind of item. So if you're selling the donut, you use the data to understand how much donut you can sell every day. And then if you're running a restaurant, you're going to think about how many seats you need to prepare, the capacity, and so that or you need to understand how many waiter you need for that night, right? So etc. So those gonna based on the historical data to do the predicting. And one definitely is the application of statistics. Second, assessing drug efficacy in the clinical trial. So this is one example I emphasized. In the drug pharmaceutical industries, we heavily use the statisticians to help us to understand if the drug is effective or not. And so they did a lot of experiment on the little mice. So before they move on to the human trials, right? So therefore, assessing drugs efficacy in the clinical trial is definitely the place we need to use a lot of statistics. So therefore, the answer for this question will be both 1 and 2. And so good luck with your learning. So next, we're going to look at the most difficult part of this learning module. That is the when the statistic might fail. And you need to pay attention on those areas.